I'm Alan Soffer, and I am the artist at this exhibition called I Never Owned a Lawnmower.
How about the quirky name of your retrospective, I Never Owned a Lawnmower?
Yes, it is quirky, but it's also meaningful, because this is a day and age when everyone wants to do everything. You have to say no to some things. I said no to lurking around the house and doing all that fix-up stuff. So I never bought a lawnmower, and Libby supported me on that. That gave me some free time.
I've been doing this work for 40 years, not starting off to be a professional artist, but ending up being a professional artist, practicing dentistry for 34 years as well. For at least the last 12 years, I've been working primarily in the encaustic medium, which is an ancient method, started about 2,000 years ago by the Greeks and the Egyptians, and lost favor because the artists were dying. We learned how to deal with the toxicity with the proper ventilation and not sticking your fingers in it. I love this technique. It's hot wax with pigments embedded in it. For me, it's extremely satisfying.
Who are some of your influences?
Jean Miro, Paul Klee, Jasper Johns, Robert Rauschenberg, probably the most important person for me. Jay DeFeo, lately become pretty well known. The abstract expressionists in general I relate to, but I also love great representational work as well. I'm a big fan of Whistler and John Singer Sargent, those two representational American artists. America, I did this prior to 9/11. I spent about 5 or 6 years doing deconstruction paintings, and so I've just started going down to demolition sites. I go into these hard hat areas after dark and sneak in to do my photography, and I would collage the pictures into the paintings.
Have other people thought that that painting referred to 9/11?
Everybody.
World Trade Center, to me.
Everybody who's ever seen it thinks it's done in honor of 9/11. It does honor 9/11, but it wasn't done because of 9/11. When you start studying art, representation seems to be the way to start. You draw the figure, still lifes and landscapes. That gets embedded in your psyche, and I enjoyed doing that stuff. However, it felt a little constraining, and I was doing dentistry, which was extremely constraining in terms of microns of degree of error. So I wanted to be free to do whatever I wanted. I started working that way, studying with Mo Brooker and Maxine Krinsky, a number of other people. And I felt that that was a lot more satisfying. In 2005, I had a big solo show, all of my representational work, and that was my swan song for representation. I haven't done any since and don't plan to do it because I think my natural bent is to be just free and wild and crazy. People always say I'm amazing with surface. Even with acrylics, I always get texture, and I hardly ever use any sand or dust or pumice or anything in there that other artists tend to do. It's like my mark. I get textures. However, that said, with encaustic, my primary medium, that really produces fabulous surfaces if you know how to handle it at all. In fact, it's sometimes harder to make the surfaces real smooth than it is to have them textured. You you did ask the question, what should people take away? What I would really like the most is when they stop and look at any piece here, they can't just walk past it without it jolting their brain cells at least a little bit. You can go even to like the Louvre and you walk past one Dutch master drawing after the other and you stop looking at them. I hate that. That happens, and I hope it doesn't happen too much in this work. I'd like people to stop and get something at times maybe powerful. It could be emotional, it could be aesthetic. I'm not trying to make some moralistic statements here. There are some historical statements that I've done about ancient healing and ancient dentistry.
I know there's some other doctors. Dan, my son Dan, what do you think? What would you be doing for these people 4,000 years ago?
Opium and drilling.
Opium and drilling. So this changed my life doing the work about ancient dentistry. I really ventured into an unknown territory and had a great time with it, and even showed that big tooth booth in New York City in Soho at West Broadway and Houston, and an amazing gallery. Man emerges through the crust of the earth, out of the abyss, into a hostile veldt. Teeth erupt through the crest of the alveolus, out of the plasma, into a warrior's world.
Who wrote that?
Me.
You obviously have an analytical side to your brain, or you wouldn't have gone to dentistry school. How do you explain the two sides of your personality?
It was a question that I was asking myself when I was practicing dentistry, and I started to realize that I had this side that was just so diametrically opposite to what I was doing. I had this wonderful patient. She was the dean of a friend's school. And I said, am I schizophrenic or is something wrong with me? She said, no, Alan, you're just blessed. You have both sides working and working well, and you seem pretty well balanced to me. So she said, just accept it and enjoy it and appreciate it. So I have ever since.
Is he too good to be true? He seems like such a nice guy. What is his underlying psychopathology?
I think that Alan is simply totally a great and very creative person, and it's excellent to collaborate with him, and that's all that
She's
matters.
not my psychotherapist.
Oh, okay.
She could be.
Okay.
She works with our students
Oh.
so that they can find their passion in life and use it in their artwork.
Exactly, which is different than psychotherapy. Psychotherapy says there's something wrong with you and you need to be treated. This is much more about discovering the creativity and joy in your life. So.
I have to say, I just met Alan in real life for the first time today, and I can't see anything wrong with him at all. He's frighteningly well adjusted.
Sort of perfect.
I actually did a show a couple of years ago called Two Sides. I showed with another guy who was a lawyer and an artist. So there are a number of people who do this. I did find that I couldn't incorporate them simultaneously. If I went into work to fix someone's teeth, and what's on my mind was how to find a resolution to some painting that I was doing. Obviously, I would seem distracted to the patient, to my staff, to myself. So I just found this was not a good thing. People say, well, do you combine them both? I said, well, only to the extent that I think I was better at aesthetics in dentistry than almost anybody out there. And I see a lot of bad aesthetic dentistry. A lot of these dentists would do well to take some art classes. But in any event, when I was doing dentistry, I had to come in and click off the other stuff.
I'm a physician, yeah.
So what do you think of your Dr. Zhivago-like father?
Well, it's actually really spectacular, and it's funny that he doesn't recognize that the surface aspect of what he doesn't come directly from his work, scraping and peeling away the layers of teeth and spending an entire career working on teeth.
When did he quit dentistry?
I think 1997.
Oh, so it's been a while.
It's been a while, yeah. Yeah.
Is he happier not having to drill and whatnot?
He was always happy in everything he did.
I only met him today, but I have to tell you, you have a world-class father.
Oh, he's very cool. And when he made that comment about artists expressing their passion, I looked over to Gwen and I said, you know, my mom and my dad make very different types of art with very different things in mind, and there's nothing really in common other than they both express themselves very passionately, and it's the passion that's consistent between the two of them, and they both have lived every aspect of their life with a high degree of passion, and it's exciting to see.
We've been at this for 51 years, and there's plenty of romance.
I once heard Woody Allen musing about Van Gogh becoming a dentist and doing dentistry for dentistry's sake. Have you ever done an expressionist root canal?
People are going to think that I sent you these questions. I think I brought along that piece that Woody Allen wrote. Well, I had a couple opportunities. I had a cousin, he was about 26, and he wanted me to put some Jewish stars in his front teeth. I would have actually enjoyed doing that, but I knew his mother would kill me if I did it. So I said, even though you're a grown man and I would love to do it, I'm not going ahead until your mother says she's not going to hate me for the rest of my life. But of course, she said, no, you're not doing that. So I have not done the Van Gogh approach to dentistry.
Dear Theo, once again I am in need of funds. I know what a burden I must be to you, but who can I turn to? I need money for materials. I am working almost exclusively with dental floss now, improvising as I go along, and the results are exciting. God, I have not even a penny left for Novocaine. Today I pulled a tooth and had to anesthetize the patient by reading him some Dreiser. Help, Vincent. Dear Theo, Toulouse-Lautrec is the saddest man in the world. He longs more than anything to be a great dentist, and he has real talent, but he's too short to reach his patients' mouths and too proud to stand on anything. Arms over his head, he gropes around their lips blindly, and yesterday, instead of putting caps on Mrs. Fiddleson's teeth, he capped her chin. Meanwhile, my old friend Monet refuses to work on anything but very, very large mouths, and Surratt, who is quite moody, has developed a method of cleaning one tooth at a time until he builds up what he calls a full, fresh mouth. It has an architectural solidity to it, but is it dental work? Vincent.
I have to say that without all of you showing up and supporting me, it wouldn't feel nearly as good. I am overwhelmed today. We had a great opening reception on Friday, a week ago. It was great. But today I thought, when you give a gallery talk, maybe if 10 people show up, you're pretty happy. This is overwhelming, and I can't thank you enough.